Hey, welcome back to Global Environment. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about collapse in systems. Now, you guys are all taking Global Environment as a course online, so you figure you're interested in the environment, you're concerned about the future, and there are a lot of people on this planet that are concerned about the future. So how can we look at the future? How can we understand what might occur in the future? Well, first of all, to do that, we want to use science. So we've got to think to ourselves, what is science? And science can really be thought of as two things. One is it's a body of knowledge, It's the stuff we already know. And science is also a method, the scientific method, a method to find out more stuff and add to that knowledge. Now, again, we're concerned about the environment, we're concerned about the Earth. What's going to happen in the future? How can we use science to figure that out? Now, in science, you like to do experiments. You like to look at how things change. Wouldn't it be great if we had a little bitty Earth that we could look at over time, see how things played out, and that might give us an understanding about what's going to happen on the entire Earth? Wouldn't it be great if we had like a little test Earth? Well, maybe we do. And I want to talk about a place that could be an analogy or an experiment, a small-scale experiment of environmental change for the whole Earth. And that place we're going to talk about is Easter Island. And Easter Island, as you can see in this slide here, is in the South Pacific. It's really in the middle of nowhere. And that's why it's a good representation of the Earth, because like the Earth, the real Earth is in the middle of nowhere. So Easter Island is pretty good at representing that. Now, Easter Island was settled by Polynesians and eventually found by Europeans. It was by a Dutch frigate in 1722. So they came to this island on Easter Sunday. That's why it's named Easter Island. So the Dutch got to this island and they noticed it was roughly triangular shaped, volcanic. They got closer to the island and they could see why the island is so famous today, right off. So you could see that the Polynesians built these huge statues. They're called moai. And you can see they were originally painted like this, very large. And I'll show you a slide in a minute that shows you just how big they are. And, you know, with these separated crowns. So these were carved separately and placed on top. And very big, made out of volcanic rock that was carved toward the inside of the island. So these people had a pretty advanced civilization. They were able to carve these out of stone using stone tools and move these with nothing bigger than a chicken to help them. So they had some know-how. They're found all over the island. There's over 100. And this is the shot that shows you how big some of these are. I mean, look how huge this is, out of volcanic rock. And down here there are little carved hands. So these probably represented ancestors of the Polynesians on the island. And again, this took some know-how. This took some brain power. They also built temples around the island out of huge volcanic rocks. Again, moved, placed, and fit so well together that you can't even place a knife between these connections here. They had their own forms of artwork. Here's some remnants of it. They're also one of the only places on the planet where a civilization came up with writing on their own. Most of the time you read about ancient civilizations, they borrowed their writing from their neighbors. These people came up with their own writing, these wooden tablets you'd read across, you'd flip them over and then read the back. And they probably represented religious songs. Very few of these remain. Now the Dutch also noticed something else peculiar about the island when they got closer. It was totally deforested. And you can see, this is 250 years later, it's still in tough shape. Hardly a tree to be seen. High rates of erosion. The Polynesians that were living here, they're surrounded by this advanced civilization, but they're coming out in reed boats and begging for wood. This is a shot of the interior of the island. This is the road that those giant moai were brought to the outside of the island on these roads. But scientists have subsequently gone back to the island and they found that it wasn't always deforested. By looking at pollen samples, nuts that are left in the soil, and root samples, they've been able to determine that the island was covered with trees like this that you find in Chile now. And in fact, the Easter Island palm tree was the largest palm tree in the world. It's now extinct. Archaeologists have gone under the island, and it's full of caverns that are full of human remains. And these remains show signs of violent death or starvation. There was warfare going on, even cannibalism. So something very scary happened on this island. And many people have wondered if we were heading in this direction. And what we're going to do in the next segment is we're going to focus on that in more detail. We're going to look at a timeline of Easter Island, what happened, and why it's important for us today. So that's where we'll stop, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.